Hey, listen, this can you hear me? I can't hear you.
I'm still on mute. Good evening.
Listen, we need to mute that intro music. It switched up, and that sound like Mario.
I told
Love
you
together.
every time I come on here, it's something different. It's the same chill hip hop, and it's different chill hip hop. So y'all
Listen,
just gonna get a little something every week.
let me just make sure. Are we allowed to insert our own music? Like if it's
If
music
we
that we
have our
produce,
own theme music, absolutely.
all right,
So
I gotta.
y'all, just so we gonna come back with some hot fire in January. Just be ready. But like right now, we gotta use the
Man,
music that comes with the thing.
I
And ciao.
I would much rather the Kahoot music. Like that was trash.
That's what it sounds like.
Kahoot
So
music was
any
definitely trash.
wait. Put a call to action out there. I know a lot of artists on this platform, a lot of artists out there. If you have a great track that you would like to give to On Track with All My People, if you would like to create our theme song, we looking for you. We
For
need you.
sure. For
Put
sure.
it out there. Put it out there. But anywho, welcome to On Track with All My People Live, guys. Like we say before, and we're gonna say again, please make sure you invite your people. If you're watching us on the replay, make sure you put replay, ponder replay, so that we know that you are watching on the replay. Um, yeah. Shout out to all y'all for like continuing to support us. This is episode 8,
I'm
guys.
happy about
Oh
that.
my god, we made it.
I'm happy about that. That was a
We
goal.
ate deep.
Yeah, that was a goal.
So we are here, we are live, we are ready. We have a great guest that we would like to bring to you all. But first, you know what we gotta do? We gotta recap last week because last week was lit. Last week we was going in. In case you missed our last episode, we were talking about white privilege.
For sure. And yeah, it was an interesting topic. Because I think it delved into a lot of real issues that some people are talking about, but need to be discussed on a broader scale. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Mike Partis, one of the gentlemen that I'm hoping to bring on to the show. Definitely a brother of mine in terms of a bunch of different things. He's actually getting honored today for a lot of the work that he's contributed.
Oh wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, like really dope individual. And he actually watched the show last week and then sent us an article that really I'm looking forward to us bringing it and to touch upon. And I'm hoping that he'll be able to come on the show and kind of speak about that. But last week's show was super dope because there was also engagement from people that really felt like, listen, we really need to talk about this, and also we need to be able to support our Black and Brown students that are facing inequity as they pursue their post-secondary or pro pathway aspirations. So I'm glad we were able to touch upon it, but I think we just scratched the surface. So we're definitely going to have to revisit these
Oh
conversations
yeah.
again.
Oh yeah. Look out for 2022, guys, because we have lots of great content, lots of great topics. There's so much that we want to say and so much we want to work through together and as a collective. And I think it's important that we have our own space, right, for us, because we do need to build our own systems. We really need to like make sure that we are doing the work to feed us in our communities as much as possible. And I'm just so grateful for all the people who like chime in and who are ready to do the work and roll their sleeves up and get their hands dirty. I'm super excited. But I guess we can bring on our first guest today. I'm so excited because yeah, she's going to talk about some of the work that I'm doing now. Is I'm doing what they call success work. So we have two sides to college access, y'all. So we have the college access work, which is like kids actually trying to get to where they want to go, right? And then we have the success work. What happens when they're in? What happens? How do we support them? And things of that nature. And we're going to have a great guest to explain what that might look like for a student who is actually in school, who is doing the work to stay in school, and what her role is to support them. So, I guess without further ado, we can start introducing.
For sure, for sure. And one other thing I want to add is the importance about persistence, right? Like, so There was a point in time a couple of decades ago that New York in general, I did research in it, was being significantly challenged in getting students, especially students of color, to college, right? Then they found different ways to be able to address that and did a significantly better job of getting students to the door, right? And through the door, but they're not coming out on the other side, right? So that persistence work was super important. And somebody that the person that we're bringing on today is going to be able to really speak to that because she's a part of a support program that really help students deal with like those persistence issues that may naturally come up for them for various reasons. But let's look at her profile, right? Madelyn Nieves is a senior academic advisor with the ASAP program, where she manages a caseload of students and co-oversees public and social health programming for the program. I'm actually excited to hear more about what she's specifically doing in that. She holds degrees in nutrition and dietetics and public health from City University of New York. Amber, you thought I was going to fail when I said that word, but I
You
said it with
did
my chest.
it. Very
Hot
good.
fire. Um,
Continue. Continue.
for sure. Some of her projects include food insecurity and food justice, which we're definitely going to be talking about because I think those are important topics, not just for the college, success lens, but just the lens of a lot of people that are dealing with some very harsh times and harsh realities. So without further ado, let's welcome Madelyn Nieves. Bring to the show. Let's big it up, big it up, big it up.
Great job. I was like, I was trying to see if you were gonna say dietetics. I
Man,
was like, yeah.
dietetics. Listen, that is now part of my vocabulary. I'm just letting the people know, full transparency. I had to rehearse that, right? Because I've never said that word in the way that it needs to be said for the people, right? So I had to practice it, and I'm confident that I can introduce you anywhere. So if you need me, just let me know.
I would definitely let you know. And it's funny because it's a vocabulary word that I didn't learn until I started to research the degree in general. And I had to realize, I was like, what is this? What does this mean? And it's like, and eventually I fell in love with the program. So I was like, ended up doing that.
Well, let's not waste an opportunity because I do have another question, but let's not waste an opportunity for the people that don't know what it is. Like, how would you frame dietetics? I just wanted an opportunity to say it again.
Oh, okay. But the field of dietetics focuses on technically food and nutrition, if we're going to focus on that. But it's more than just like eat an apple a day or eat your fruits and veggies. It's way more than that. There is a full science for people who are out there listening. There is a science behind what you eat,
Hmm.
and there's this and how that's tied to your well-being.
Mm.
Don't be faked by some of these. Let me find my words correctly.
Hmm.
Don't be persuaded by some of these industry nutrition who call themselves nutritionists but hold no degree behind it. Like, just be very careful and mindful. But there is a study to how you eat and how that affects your body. So that's I decided to do dietetics because I love the prevention work and the community and public health aspect of it instead of clinical. So that was the direction I went to.
I love
That's
it.
amazing.
I actually love it because I see y'all know I love TikTok by now. If you know me, you know I love TikTok. But I'm learning so many things on TikTok about just food and how food like can influence your mood, how food can actually mess with your hormones depending on what you're eating, and
Hmm.
all these different things. And then you wonder why some kids have like these mood issues, right? They come to school, they don't want to be bothered, and it could be stuff that they're eating.
The
Yeah.
Takis,
Legitimately,
all the Takis.
the
Oh
Takis early in the
yeah.
morning. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Pepsi, and yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, they have a
Oh
whole
god.
science project in their stomachs, like,
It's
and wonder
oh,
why
so
their brain
bad.
don't function. This is the reason why, because
Yeah,
they're not eating properly. Makes sense.
exactly.
Makes
So
sense.
that it definitely makes sense. So with that, Amber's going to get into like the fun stuff, but we wanted to just provide a little bit more insight because a part of our show has definitely transformed into really acknowledging and celebrating those that are really doing some amazing things, and we would love for people to get to know and have some more insight about you. Can you provide us with an understanding of like where are you from? In general, like the boroughs. We know you're from the boroughs, and then where are you from in terms of like your heritage, your background, etc. And how have both of those sort of like intersected to influence like your career path and choices?
So straight from the South Bronx, born and raised. I can actually, out of all my siblings, I'm one of 9. Out of all my siblings, I could be the one to say that I was actually born and raised in the South Bronx versus like our argument is always like, well, you were born in a hospital in Manhattan. I was actually born in a hospital in the Bronx. So that's usually the argument with my siblings. No, but born and raised in the South Bronx, Dominican household. I was sharing that I was an ESL student, so I learned English while going to school in elementary school and things like that. And just my upbringing and the area and my culture, actually, I was kind of like forced or conditioned to want to do nursing or any
Sure.
type of medical field or whatever it is. Those were the choices. Either you were a law student or you go to medical school, and the most they'll accept from you is a nurse. So that's pretty much what the culture is, and that's what I actually started to go to school for. I started to go to school for nursing. That was the path that I was going. I was going to do nursing, nurse practitioner, and eventually do MD. That was the path.
Mm-hmm.
But that path changed once I got into college and realized that even though I did well in my science courses, it was forced, and there was nothing. I want to say there was like no meaning or no drive behind it, other than the fact that I wanted to please my parents. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, where you're like, I need to please my
Sure.
parents, I need to do what they want to do. And it wasn't until I took a nutrition class in undergrad, and I fell in love, and and the rest is kind of like history. Eventually, I started to do more research on it, and it became more than just yeah, I'm going to tell people to eat healthy. It became something a little bit more kind of like I've always been like a heavy set kid growing up, and that was always an issue. And then going to the doctor, I was always referred to a dietitian, but my dietitians were always white. And
Mm.
what they would tell me is that this is what you should eat. You should eat more fruits. You should eat more vegetables. You need to add more greens. And they would give me this strict diet. And one day, I'm not a rude person, but one day I kind of went off on the dietitian and told her, great, go tell my mother who's on food stamps to
Mm.
buy X amount of, vegetables when she has mouths to feed at home. And so there was like this incompetence of like being culturally aware of
Mm-hmm.
your, and I think that this was like I went around 10, 11 years old, 12, dealing with this. And eventually, I want to say flash forward a couple of years later, I was like, I met my professor who was teaching me nutrition undergrad at the time, Puerto Rican lady, beautiful, wonderful woman. And she grabbed onto me and she's like, we need more people like you and me in this field. There's not enough of us.
Mm.
So I need you. If this is something you're truly passionate. She mentored me. She took me under her wing. She mentored me and kind of like navigated my educational journey after that. Um, but I was like, I want to say like that was culturally obligated to go the medical health route, and within that, I found kind of like a love and a passion to want to do the work that I do to help my community in whatever way that I can, whether that's small or big. Because sometimes we feel like we don't have that big of an impact, but you'd be surprised
Yeah,
how our
that social
interactions.
capital. I'm just like heart. Like as soon as you said that, like this person took you under their wing and
Mm-hmm,
was like, "Listen, I got you because we need more of us in the field." So
mm-hmm.
important,
Yeah,
so very important.
yeah, and it's a
That's
message
the
I
running
drive home to my
theme.
students. Yeah.
That is once again, that is the running thing. We might have to change our show.
We
We
might
might have
have
to
to
change our
take
show
that
name.
show up because, like, this is the running theme has been this idea of social capital and like this idea of giving back and like it just keeps coming up. I don't care who we talk to,
Mm.
it's always present in every conversation. So I think that we got something here. So if you guys are like listening and paying attention, social capital is gold.
Yeah.
For sure. So, okay, Amber, you're taking the lead.
Yeah, so let's get into the fun stuff because we like to have fun on this show. And also it helps to set the stage for our like conversation. So we have these lovely cards. I kind of wish these gentlemen were still in business, but we're still gonna hype them up just because we think this is like a great game. It's called
Mm.
Campus Cards. Campus Cards was started by two gentlemen
I
on a
think it was
Morgan
three.
State conference. Three?
I think it was three.
I think it was two.
What,
Whatever.
I like competition. So
Potato.
I like competition.
Founded by Black men on Morgan State's campus. Okay. And pretty much it's a game to like break the ice and to help people to kind of get to know each other. Usually played by college students, as like evidenced by cards we cannot tell you about play on this platform. But we have some cards that are safe cards that we're going to use today.
Okay.
So each of the cards have a question, and then there's 4 answers, and you're going to choose the best answer. And you guys who are watching, thanks for tuning in. This is On Track with All My People Live, and we are playing campus cards, and you can play with us. So you're going to hit us with a 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat for any of these answers that match you. Cool? All right. This first one, very safe. It's midnight and you're starving. What are you going to do? 1, order takeout. 2, get a snack from the vending machine. 3, put together a struggle meal. Or 4, go to sleep. So 1, order takeout. 2, get a snack from the vending machine. 3, put together a struggle meal. 4, go to sleep.
Wow. If I'm gonna go back to like undergrad days, I would put together a struggle meal.
A struggle meal.
I will grab whatever that's in the pantry and I'll like create something. I was like, this makes sense, and we're gonna make this work. One way or another.
Struggle meal definitely for the win.
Struggle meals. All right, next one. The professor calls you to answer a question, but you weren't paying attention. This is most likely because 1, you were scrolling social media. 2, you were texting in your group chat. 3, you were daydreaming about your next meal. Or 4, you were probably sleeping. Social media, texting your group chat, daydreaming, or sleeping.
I want to say I've gotten in trouble for that. So I'm gonna say number 2. Because I was texting the group chat. We have plans later that night, and I was just trying to confirm.
Just trying to confirm. Are we still on?
I don't want to show up and nobody's there.
That's wow. So the professor caught you.
But I finessed my way into an answer. I feel like I was in certain classes, I was like the queen of like going around in circles for like a specific answer and making it sound like it was very like great, but there was like no content in whatever I was saying.
Making it up as I go. It'd be like that. Next one, you want to go to the club, but you can't get in because you aren't 21. What's your next move? 1, get a fake ID. 2, use a friend's ID. 3, pay off the bouncer. Or 4, take the L and miss out on the party. So get a fake ID, use a friend's ID, pay off the bouncer, or take an L and miss the party.
I mean, not to say allegedly. I'm just gonna sprinkle some allegedly sprinkle that out there. I would use another friend's ID.
Of course. Allegedly. Of course.
Maybe, kind of, sort of.
Maybe, some of my friends we do kind of look alike or have similar, I feel like we've been in that type of situation and just pray that it actually works.
Yes, don't look at the picture too hard, sir. Just
I actually was a part of that. I didn't use it. I had a fake ID, so nobody's gonna judge me. But I let somebody on campus use my ID at a party. They went to a party in Rhode Island, and I wasn't sure because we definitely didn't look alike. So I was like, "Yo, what is going on?" And I wondered, it was like all black people look alike kind of thing. But he got into the party and gave my ID the next day. So like, I've done my civic duty for the community. I want to let y'all know I've done it.
Okay. This one. You need $300 to pay your tuition bill, or your schedule is going to be dropped. Your friend offers to pay it, but under one of these conditions. Which one would you agree to? 1, you got to clean their apartment weekly for the rest of the year. 2, you got to pay them back double. 3, you got to write their midterm and final papers for them, 15 pages each. Or 4, you got to do their laundry for the rest of the year. So clean their apartment for a year, pay them back double, which is $600, write their midterm and final, or do their laundry.
That includes the drawers also. Just want to let you know that.
Nah, bro.
I was gonna say, I was like,
no, thank you.
I think it's, I want to say, I was like, but then that's family though, because I used to do laundry for my entire family. Like
That's a
when I was
family.
younger.
That's
That's
a
family. But I was like,
out
this
the
is
class.
I was like, I think I would do midterm and final, honestly. I would, and allegedly may have done that for some.
Allegedly.
Shout out to allegedly. Shout out to allegedly.
I love it.
It's like,
Last question. You wake up and find out it's a snow day on campus and classes are canceled. How do you spend your day?
Oh, yeah.
1, throw a house party. 2, sleep, and more sleep. 3, get snowed in with your boo. Or 4, watch your favorite show. So house party, sleep, get snowed in with your boo, or binge watch your favorite show.
Wow, that's between like 3 and 4. It's like, it would be. Can I mix 3 and 4? Is like I can be snowed in with my boo and watch
the show.
Shows.
That sounds like a win-win to me.
Okay, I would do that.
That sounded mad romantic. You know, it's called something different now. That's called
yeah.
That's called Netflix and chill. It's called Netflix and chill. It's called something different. But what you try to make it sound romantic. What genre of show or movie would you have been watching with the boo?
I enjoy documentaries, but with him, it would be more like comedy movies. Like that's what it would be. But I would enjoy a good documentary. So
nice.
Okay.
So wait. You said with him there was a specific person in mind?
Yeah.
No, why you so nosy?
No, because listen. Let me tell you. Let me tell you some background story. So she's a part of the podcast that my cousin is on. Like they're part of the podcast together, and I've been watching, right? But I stopped for a second. So right before I watched, there wasn't nobody. So now she's claiming somebody, kinda. And yo, that's real. I see you. I gotta catch up.
Nosy. Mind your business and ask the question.
All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to the real things. What we're here for. A lot of what you're doing right now within your profession, you're speaking to a lot of the young people that we actually work with. Young people that may need to, start off at a 2-year college to kind of transition and get themselves together for whatever the next step is. Also, young people that need the additional support through like a support program like ASAP. One of the first leading questions I want to know is, a lot of my young people have a lot of misconceptions about community colleges. What would you say are like some of the common ones, and why do you think they exist?
Wow, that, and it's a conversation that I have with whenever I get like a new cohort of students, a new cohort of freshmen. It's a conversation. It's actually the first conversation we have. It's like let's break up the myths of what you expect community colleges and the ideas that you have, because a lot of people think community colleges are. I failed to meet a specific point, and therefore I am now. This is like my option at this moment, and there's like a sense of embarrassment for a lot of them when I meet with them for the first time. They gave me fake enthusiasm voice, because we usually, when we do onboarding for the program, there's like a steps that they have to take. I am the second step, which would mean meeting with an advisor for registration. And usually a lot of people would just register you for classes and be like, go on your merry way. I go on a full-blown interview and start asking questions like, hey, like, why are you what brought you to this specific school? And then I would hear it on their voice, and a lot of them are like, yeah, like it's close to the house, or I heard about it. And I'm like, okay, then what did you hear about? Because like I need to know what brought you to this point. And then some of them will open up and they'll say, well, like this was my only option. Like I got denied from all the other schools, or I did get accepted to schools and my parents couldn't afford it and I didn't want to take out a loan. So then we'll get into a conversation about what all that looks like. And especially with the students that come in for finance reasons, we go into a discussion about why community colleges are so underrated, right? Because everyone focuses on the huge schools, but what you don't understand, especially the accredited community colleges, let's be very specific
Very
about,
clear.
very clear about the kind of community colleges, because there's a lot of programs out there that want to mask themselves as associate degree programs and take their for-profit schools, take up all your money, and then next thing you know, you're trying to go into a bachelor's degree program and find out that you don't have any aid, your credits will never be accepted. And I've seen some of those stories. We've had as a couple of students that come in with those type of situations.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the benefits of for the community colleges, they start to find out that I can take all these, at least 60 credits depending on the program they try to pursue. Majority of these credits, we have articulation agreements with a bunch of colleges, which I think a lot of students don't quite know about. And at the end of the day, I am saving a buttload of money for this education, that if people just, one of the things that they don't know is that a lot of the professors in community colleges do teach at four-year institutions. And just to say, because I know a couple who have taught at Columbia, a couple who've taught at Baruch, a couple of them that taught at NYU, a couple of them that use the exact same syllabus, materials, content that people are paying thousands and thousands of dollars for.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting it for an affordable rate at a community college, and you're getting all the knowledge and all the experience. But again, people will never know this because they're stuck with that stigma of I'm going to a 2-year school. And just to share a little bit, I did go away for college at first. When I graduated from high school, I went down to Florida because I did the whole, I want to leave the Bronx. So
Mm-hmm.
I left and ran back. And because I was too late to enroll at Hunter, I was like, I'm going to stay in the city. I'm going to go to Hunter. But I didn't make it on time to submit my application for consideration. So I ended up at Hostos Community College for my 2-year. And as much as I dreaded it, that one semester, it was one of the best things that could ever happen to me without me even knowing. So
I'm glad
Interesting.
you stated that.
We have a
Amber.
very similar. I had to start at a community college for finance reasons. Like some of the schools that I had chose, I couldn't afford them, right? And I don't think I ever saw myself at a community college because community college had such a bad rap that it was like, community college? You want me to go to Hood College? I don't want to go to Hood College. But then when I got
mm-hmm.
there, similar to you, it was like the best thing since sliced bread. I was like, wow, I really don't feel like I'm missing anything. I have a campus community. I'm involved. I'm doing everything that most college students would do, but I'm doing it for a fraction of the price. This is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So
And then
thank you for saying that, because I think that's also important that people really don't understand. Like, you're still getting quality education.
and it's what you make of it, honestly speaking. If you want to just, I'm going to take my classes, because we do get those few students that come in and they'll straight up just tell me, it's like, I am here for a semester, and after this semester I am transferring out, or I'm here for a year and after this year I'm transferring out. It's your autonomy. Like, you could do whatever you want to do, but let me tell you why you should consider staying.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which is, again, it goes back to the saving money. It goes to cultivating an experience depending on what you want to get out of your time here, and also the fact that you can graduate with an associate's degree. A lot of colleges, and one of the things that what happened to me when I transferred from the school that I was in to coming back to New York, I lost 50% of my credits.
That part.
I lost 50% of my credits. Do you know what it is to take microbiology all over again?
All over
Yeah.
again.
I was like, no. So but I didn't have someone like me to talk to me. So when I speak to my students, I speak from experience,
Mm-hmm.
Super
and that's what it
important.
is.
Super important. So I have the next question. I really want you to highlight, as if this was your commercial. What do you think is the purpose, or how would you paint the picture for someone who doesn't know what ASAP is? Right? Everybody doesn't go to CUNY, so everybody doesn't really know what it is. How would you describe the purpose of a program like ASAP?
So ASAP, the purpose of the program, and usually this is how I would start it, is the purpose of the program is pretty much to graduate students within a specific time frame, right? So it's the acronym stands for accelerated programs in associate studies, right? So That's pretty much what it is. And the reason why it came to be, and pretty much Daitwan kind of hit on it in the very beginning, there's historically, you have students that go to college and they'll spend years and years and semesters of financial aid. And at this point, financial aid is not infinite. It does run out. And if you're not using it correctly, and if you're not progressing, and there's all these barriers, ASAP was created for that. So, what the program focuses on is making sure that the student has, a designated academic advisor that is with you on the specific journey from like start to finish. And they're working on not just advising you for classes, we are taking it in a completely different way. So we focus on making sure that you have the academic resources available to you, whether that's tutorial services. We run workshops on just like effective communication, especially in the college setting, right? How do you effectively communicate with your professors, navigating, especially when it comes to financial aid, right? Understanding your financial aid and how to navigate that experience. And then also how to start developing your career portfolio early on, because even though you're at a community college, and the first thing I want, the thing that I tell my students is, welcome to the first step of your professional development, right? Because you're not just taking classes to take classes. There is a professional development component in your classes that you will use later on in life, right? So it's kind of like what we do. So we take, we're known for the Metro cards, right? So like, as the students kind of know,
I
it's
love
like,
it because it's
you get free
branded. It
you
literally
get free
says
Metro
ASAP on the
cards.
back.
It's like you get free Metro cards to go to school. And that's the one thing that they miss from high school, that you can get like the
Yeah.
Metro cards and stuff like that. So it's like you get the transportation, because that is a huge, it sounds silly, but for a
Mhm.
student from a public school system who had transportation paid for, that whole situation, to then have that removed entirely. Now you got to pay, like, how much is a Metro card now? It's like $130 something dollars for like
130 something dollars. It's a
for a
lot of
month.
money for a broke college student
A student,
who
a
may
month,
not have a job.
a month, a month,
A
and
month.
and that, to calculate that to a lot of people is like, that's small. That is a huge burden
Yeah, for
being
sure.
taken away from a student. So we try to make sure that we're trying to remove a lot of those barriers. That includes financial as much as possible, because I mean, we are limited in what we can do. But we try to also make sure that students are very much aware of, part of our financial component includes scholarships, understanding how to apply for scholarships and stuff like that. So in a way, we're that program that tries to cultivate the student from when they come in to when they graduate, so that they, once they do transition to their senior college, they're more than prepared, right? And even if they're scared, because a lot of times it's that confidence where it's like, I am now leaving the nest again to go to a bigger
Mhm.
institution. Am I ready for this? And it's like, no, you're ready for this. And we also, one of the biggest things that we do, I especially do, is teaching them how to advocate for themselves. So that's also another piece.
Super
I hope,
important,
yeah.
especially for students who are actively in college. You guys take for granted, like, when you leave high school, there is no little birdie on your shoulder that instructs you what to do. There is no manual that is given to you on your first day of class to help you navigate college. So, like, this program honestly is like a godsend for a lot of students because they wouldn't have that support otherwise.
Yeah. And it's not regular advice, because that's the thing about it. They're like, but it's advisement. And I was like, yes, you go to an
No.
advisor and they'll advise you on the classes you can take. If I can share, I won't share names. I'll share something that happened today, actually. So today I had a meeting with a student who, when I first met with them originally, after meeting with them, they were like, yeah, I can't do this. Like, I don't want to do this program. Like, remove me from the list. It ended up being that there was a discrepancy and she was left in the program. So without her knowing, she was still a part of the program. So I would send her, I create these newsletters, like certain content and whatever, and I would send it to her in terms of like information. We'll check with her via text message because she didn't want to meet. So I was like, hey, how are you doing? Just wanted to check in on you. How are you feeling? XYZ. Oh, by the way, if you didn't know, you should know this. And then today we met for the first time in, like, I want to say like 2-3 months since she told me no. And she told me, after helping her with a very hard situation and helping her go about the experience a little bit different. She was like, I'm so sorry I said no to you in the beginning. Can I come back? How do I come back? Can I
Yeah.
and it's funny because I kind of just wanted to say like, but you like never left. But I literally I was like, you know what, let me talk. Let me talk to a couple of people and then I'll get back to you. But
For
like,
Yeah,
sure.
very good. I love it.
I'm
I
like,
done
I got
gassed it too.
So
I'm like,
with that, and like some shout outs to brother Darryl once again for supporting the show. He was on the show a couple of episodes ago. He asked a really interesting question. Does ASAP connect with specific transfer options to a bachelor's degree?
that is very interesting. So ASAP was started just at the 2-year colleges, just because it started like they started to notice a trend where students took more than technically community colleges. It's like it's 2 years, but sometimes it takes a little bit more depending on the person and where they're
Mm,
placed at in terms of their remedials. Um, but it was only meant to be in the 2-year program. I'm not supposed to say anything, but they're really considering expanding to the 4-year institution. So the pilot project was Lehman. So Lehman has a program called ACE,
mm-hmm.
which is the equivalent to ASAP at the 4-year institution. So Lehman was the pilot program. My guess, based on like last meetings that I've had with like certain individuals, it's going really well. So they're considering expanding this to other senior colleges. Um, when that's going to happen, we're not necessarily too sure. It's just like in the works, is in the talks. But at this moment, in terms of like ASAP students transitioning and continuing these type of services at the 4-year institution, Lehman right now, their ACE program is the one that does accept them. But we've had a number of students do community college and then don't go to CUNY, because that's also another thing we have a conversation on. Let CUNY be a choice and let's expand those choices. And I know money is always an issue, but let's apply for scholarships. Let's do this. Let's look at some of
Mm-hmm.
these options you have available. So some of our students have gone to SUNY schools and have gotten into EOP programs. And so that's also something that they're able to take advantage of and get those support services at the state institutions.
Phenomenal. So Amber, I think Madeline answered my question. Let's leave with your next question.
So like with all that has happened, it's been a lot that happened in the past, what, year and a half? Is it a
Hmm.
year and a half? Is it 2 years? Is it about to? It's about to
Is
be
it,
two
what is
years.
time?
It
What
is
is time?
what is
That's what
time?
it feels
What is
like right
time?
now. Is there a greater need, do you think, like I don't even think, I can't even say post pandemic,
You
right?
can't.
But where we are in the pandemic,
Hmm.
like, is there a greater need now?
Yeah, very much so. There is a greater need, but let me be specific about that need.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Equal opportunity programs, like I also used to work for College Discovery. I started my higher education journey as a college, as a actually as a work study student in College Discovery, then got hired for a
Nice.
college assistant, then did a whole thing, and then came back to higher education. But the thing that I started to notice even when I joined ASAP was that there is this model of holistic support that equal opportunity programs do provide. But you also have to evolve with the times, right? So that's just putting it out there.
Sorry,
You
I'm just like, see
you
me about
do
to
you
jump
have,
out my skin. Like,
yeah.
please, people, if you're listening, she said change with the times, right?
Times change with the times change, and honestly, it's the reason why even working in the program, I'm lucky enough that when I started working for the ASAP program where I'm at, what I started to do is I started to do surveying my caseload of students, because I was like, I started to see certain things and I was like, okay, you're going to tutoring, you're doing this, you're doing that, what is wrong? So it's like I will start surveying and doing a specific survey. That's also like my public health background in it, in terms of like collecting data, processing data, and creating interventions based on accurate data.
Hmm.
So going through that, and the trend I started to see was health being a big thing, mental health, physical health, those type of barriers. And I actually developed a kind of like this little mini group of students who actually share the same passion as me, and coach them on how to create content for students by students. And then I would have them facilitate workshops where they would provide information, tips, and support, and have open discussions about mental health, have open discussions about taking care of yourself, time management, things like that. And then eventually cultivate it into, which is where my role is now as the senior advisor for the programming that we're doing, which is social justice and also public health issues. So I do have a caseload of students, but then I'm also charged with connecting with people and developing programming for students centered in that piece, because we're starting to see a trend where food insecurity is becoming a huge issue for our college students, mental health, housing insecurity. And so it goes beyond academics. So how do we make sure that we're supporting our students? I feel like we have the academics piece down packed. Like obviously tutorial services in terms of interventions with professors, all of that stuff has been in place for a really long time. Eventually with the pandemic, we know that it exacerbated a lot of issues and social issues. We can't ignore that. You can't just sit there and be like, oh, well, go to tutoring more so that you can pass your classes.
Oh, yeah.
But the student now became the sole breadwinner of the house, paying X amount of, so let's now change with the times and let's meet the students where they're at. How can we support them as much as possible? How do we become more flexible? Because they do, a lot of these programs do have specific requirements and qualifications for students to meet in order to, be a part of them. But there has to be a point where you have to reevaluate how you run your program and just add additional stuff to it based on the times.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Honestly, I think that's something, because that's something that so one of the pieces that I do, I've been working with the Gear Up program for CUNY for probably like the last year. And that was one of the things that we saw. We did a survey when the kids first started, and a lot of them were like, yeah, I can't afford my books. I can't, I don't have the money to get on the train, right? And they're online, my internet is unstable.
Yep.
And it's like, while we're going towards the times, we'll have to also remember, a lot of people were forced to be online, never worked online before. And now, this whole issue of Wi-Fi, right? Wi-Fi is a need now. It's like having your lights on at this point.
Yep.
Kids who are trying to be in school, but their lights, AKA their Wi-Fi, does not work. How are they supposed to actually be successful in their classes if that basic need is not being met? And like you said, I think it is really important that we say that you guys need to change with the times. We cannot continue to do these antiquated college systems. They don't work. Yep. We have to move with everything else. Everything is moving, metaverse, and everything's going to be online.
Eventually. And being online actually offered a flexibility for students to working parents. So it's I work with not just students who are fresh out of high school. I work with non-traditional adult students who took a break or just didn't go to college and decided that they wanted to go back to college, because for some, the pandemic, there's a lot of negative and bad things that came about. For some, it offered an opportunity.
Oh yeah.
To go to school.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
For sure. So one of the great things that I think we're being able to see on the show are the trends and patterns of what's happening from the people that are on the field, the practitioners. And Dr. Kathy Ann Davis mentioned on a previous show that there needs to be a safety plan that is associated with this process, right? And I think you're speaking to those very things, right? Not only do students need to understand it and know about the academics, but beyond that, the mental health concerns, the technological, the food concerns, right? I know CUNY is doing a better job of having pantries available to students. So all of that is super amazing. And so Amber, you're leading on the next question. And I think it really was going to allow Madelyn to provide some data to us. What's that question?
Yeah. So what trends are you noticing about students transferring back to campus, which is very interesting. I was just having a conversation with Daitwan about this, about how some of them were so gung-ho for this semester to be back on campus, and a lot of them, unfortunately, at the last minute was oh wait, so I'm all online again for another semester. So So like what trends are you seeing for like the ones who did actually get to go back to campus? Like what trends are you seeing for them, and like what do you think is going to happen next semester? I heard they were talking about 70%. They want 70% of the student body minimum to be back in school next semester when they kind of flubbed this one in the first place. So what trends are you seeing, and like what do you think you're gonna expect to see next spring?
So the interesting part is that you would think that because more courses are being available in person, right, next semester, we look at retention numbers, and right now the retention numbers are not looking as great as people thought it would be, because we're going to come back to campus and everyone is going to rush to try to enroll for classes. And but there's this hesitancy that we're seeing from students. A lot of the students, and part of it, we have a lot of students that are vaccine hesitant, that are not vaccinated, and they are. I've had students who straight up told me, they was like, "Miss, I think this is the end of the line for me right now. I'm not getting vaccinated. I won't get vaccinated." And that's just pretty much it. I'm not here to convince you to get vaccinated, right? So I always tell my students, I'm not going to sit here and lecture you on to get vaccinated, so that you can do your classes. But what I try to do is like find ways, because I know that there's online courses available. It's very limited, but there are. And I was like, but as long as you're willing to be flexible on those options, then we can work something out. So I have been successful in trying to work with students and develop an academic plan next semester where they'll stay online, but then we also have a conversation about what they're kind of losing out on from being on campus. And then you have those students that this semester who did get to take classes on campus in some sort of hybrid format. And it's weird. It's not weird, but it's the students that have remained online for, I want to say, their last year in high school, and then starting college. Being in the classroom was foreign. That's one of the things that they told me. Being in the classroom is foreign. It's there's a level of, I feel, uncomfortable. But then now that it's the end of for some of them, it's the end of the fall semester, they're coming back to me and they're like, I'm looking forward to getting more in-person classes, because I need that professor interaction.
Sure.
Also, some professors are tech deficient. They don't.
Girl.
Listen, don't get me started. That's a whole other segment. That's a whole other segment. But it's like they had trouble with technology. So it wasn't just the students, the professors also had trouble with technology. And how do I translate what I do in the classroom in this like virtual format? So it was very different for the students. So, but there is a lot of people would think that students will be rushing to go back, but no, because now you're mandating students to be vaccinated in order for them to take classes on campus. A lot of students don't want to get vaccinated, but they will get tested on a weekly basis. Like, they're willing to get tested on a weekly basis. And then there is no kind of like in between. It's just one way or another. So we are seeing some issues with retention because of that. And then also in terms of trends, one of the things that we're starting to see, because we ran a survey about a year ago, we do see a retention issue with men of color. So if we're going to say that, it was one of the things. And a lot of it had to do with representation, being able to find this like connection and tie to higher education, and purpose, motivation, and, there were other factors involved. So part of what we do in terms of developing this kind of like social environment is making sure that we're having these open conversations with students, especially our male population, making sure that there is programming geared to them, whether that is bringing in a panel of, we had a panel on STEM professionals of color, right, specifically, so that they can see individuals that are in the field. So we're trying to make sure that they know that they are being represented in different arenas. So I want to say those are some of the trends that we're seeing for next semester. At least in my institution, I would say that not every student is rushing to try to register for in-person classes. For next semester.
And I'm definitely seeing that on the Gear Up side. We went, like, when we first started, we had 580 something kids sign up. This is their first year of college, by the way, right? By the time we got to the next semester, we dropped down to like 300 and something, just that fast. A lot of them was like, this isn't for me. I need to be in the classroom. And then some of them, like, you know, the interesting part is like when they opened it back up, they were gung ho, and then oh, actually, we're still gonna do this online. So now you see this trend of like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. So very, very, very interesting times.
Yeah.
So I have a very important question because I have these discussions with people, and it's the whole debate about equality and equity, and you know what should we prioritize. So I'm curious if ASAP and programs like opportunity programs have known to have had an impact on people, right? But you also mentioned that some of the practices and policies can be antiquated. But in general, like the idea, the thought process behind it is solid and it has an impact. My question is, should opportunity programs be accessible to for more students? And if so, does that threaten the impact on who it's supposed to help the most, like the most that are in need?
And I was reading that question, and it was one that I feel like I had like this debate within myself about,
Hmm.
because I do feel that there's such a benefit to being part of this type of program, not just ASAP, but like CDC, HEOP, EOP. There is this. They serve as bridges for students who would most likely be lost or would fall through the cracks, in the system. So I something like that just makes me think like I wish this program was offered for even more students, right? But then the whole situation with equity, where it's kind of like, well, there are other people who are well off and they have all the resources in the world. Why are we giving them more? So that is like that's what the conversation I had with myself. Um, but I honestly feel like it should open up. I want to say ASAP in particular is a program that does not take income into consideration. So like depending on the qualifications for the program. So um, I worked with College Discoveries, so the process of being able to qualify for that and seek is finances, but also GPA,
Sure,
right?
for sure.
So again, focusing back into like the academics in terms of like GPA, and yes, the student with less than, it was like the benchmark was 80%, at the time when I was working there. Is like if you had above an 80 in high school, then you don't qualify for the program, even though you have a financial need.
Right.
Or, so that was a thing. I do want to say that like I feel like it should be offered. I feel like everyone can kind of benefit from it. I also do feel like everyone has been able, at least in ASAP, because we don't have an income requirement to be a part of the program. A lot of students have been able to learn from each other because they
Mm,
come from all these different walks of life, and I mean it's one of the key pieces that we try to teach them, because yes, there is you're going into a job interview, they're going to ask you about your educational experience, your degree, and all this other stuff, but then there's this other aspect of your career that makes that you're going to have to interact with different individuals, and you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to navigate those relationships and those conversations, and the bench the where you start that is at college,
mm-hmm.
the people you meet in college. So why not have them, why not open it up to everybody, why not offer the opportunity for everyone to be able to take advantage and use the resources as much as possible. I mean, that's my take. I know there's probably those that might disagree, but my take of it, I think I'm the type of person who will be like, I want to help everybody.
For sure.
That's just pretty much who I am. So I would go, that would be my answer to that question.
Interesting. So the follow up to that, like opportunity programs, of course, we know address the issues of equity for some students by providing like
Hmm.
resources and things like that, guidance, navigation, etc. And I'm curious. Amber and I talked about this earlier today. We know that there's going to be a new school chancellor. We know some things are going to shift in terms of the Department of Education and everything. Um,
Hmm.
I'm curious about ASAP because you mentioned something that was really interesting that one of the interventions you're doing for the men of color is to get them exposed to STEM careers, right? Like that, and men that are excelling in STEM careers. So that looks at like partnerships are essential and necessary. Who are the other partners that you feel like ASAP should naturally try to connect with to address issues of equities for students in need?
Um, Definitely community-based organizations. There's a lot of work that's being done in community-based organizations, and I want to say that we may know what some of those concerns and issues are for the students if based on whatever we're tracking within the institution. But there's a lot more. Let's also talk about these institutions are based in very specific communities, right? So I want to think about especially community colleges and the way why CUNY even started and why CUNY even opened up their institutions to, a vast amount of people, because if people would look at historically like City College and those other universities, they were kind of closed off for a lot of minorities and communities that they were pretty much in. So, but there's something about partnering with community-based organizations who have other resources that we might not have access to, or we're not able to get on the college. Why not tie the students to that? So it's one of the things that we try to always do is we try to partner, bring in community-based organizations to do presentations for our students so that they understand that these resources are available even outside. So it's not just on-campus connections, it's off-campus connections, because we want to make sure that, the campus is not open 24/7. But if someone needs something, there is a community-based partner for it. So we try to make sure that we do that necessarily. I'm also, college programs like I want to say like the kind of work that you guys do with students and trying to help them funnel into higher education institutions. It's partnering with programs that are like that as well. So that's one of the things. And even when it comes to like some of the issues that are non-academically related, like food and housing and stuff like that, one of the things that we had done was we had someone from the New York City Department of Housing come in and do a presentation for students on how to even apply for like lottery apartments, how to go about it, like what's the application process look like, what is it that you're going to need. And it to some people it might seem like, why even do that, like what's the whole thing. I was like, not everyone knows how to navigate that application.
Oh,
No,
for
they don't.
sure.
They
For
don't.
sure.
There's
Right.
adults out there that don't know how to do it. So like, I think I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was saying at the end of college, like there is a great opportunity to engage students in like all the things, right? Because
Yeah.
there's so many. Like I look back at my college years and like realize there was a lot of stuff. How you pay your bill, how you
Mm-hmm.
pay your
Mm,
taxes, right? Like all of these
Understanding. Yeah.
things that you're expected to do as a young adult, right? Going out there on your own, you're expected to do these things. No manual.
You're expected to do those things right off of high school,
for
because
sure.
Yeah,
let's be honest, you're in college, you're technically an adult.
yeah,
That's how in a way they kind of treat you like you're an adult, but then you're also like not an adult, like a full adult. But
Yep.
that's pretty much how they treat that's how they treat you once you get into college. But having them have a better understanding, and I might not hold all the knowledge and all the resources, but I know someone who does,
yeah.
or that person knows someone who does. And it's one of the things I love about my job is connecting with so many different people, and making sure that we can bring those resources back to the students, at least the information back to the students, so that way they can, they know that that's something that they can always tap into.
Love it.
Yeah, you touched upon a lot of the things that we wanted to address without even like realizing it. I like that's I'm this recap is going to be super crazy. What I want is for you to give the last word, because as you may know, but you won't say, because I know you ain't going to throw people underneath the bus. But all opportunity programs are not created equal, right?
No. Yeah.
So you listed a lot of best practices, a lot of things like implicitly about what the approach should be. So, what would you say? And I didn't prep you for this question, so don't
Oh.
get in the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
can
what
see
would
her
you say?
face. She's
Either
like, wait a
you
minute,
see
this
it,
was
right?
not on the list. Daitwan.
I got it, but she has it because she already said it. What would you say if you were leading a training on best practices for ASAP programs to effectively support students and to be able to adapt to the times? What would be your top three things that they should focus on?
Top three. Here we go. Uh, Based on, and I have to base this on like recent data that we've collected among our students. Definitely, mental health is a really big issue. That I want to say the band-aid that is put on it is meditate and breathe, but there is a lot more to it than just meditation and
Yeah.
breathing and all that other stuff. And there's a lot of our students are coming in with so much trauma. They're so guarded. So they do have to be able to expand on those services. I want to say I mean, we don't have any mental health. We do have one mental health expert who works for the program, but she then connects the students with like a network of counselors. So I would say that mental health is another thing. Another thing that I would say that they need to kind of, in terms of best practices, is and helping students navigate their college experience. So we actually have a seminar, a curriculum, like a first semester seminar where we solely focus on what people would say like, oh, that's baby skills. The students should already come in with knowing these things. Let's stop assuming that students are coming
Yep.
in with all this knowledge and the vocabulary and all this other stuff. No, and even if they've heard it before, it's okay to reiterate, and it's okay to have the students learn this information again. And also, every institution is unique, so whatever information that was general, make sure that it's unique to your student population. So I would say that would be one of the other things. And I think if I in this I might sound kind of like, I don't know, saying this, but I was like, make decisions and interventions based on accurate data. And I am tired of hearing and seeing. I'm tired of hearing and seeing people saying that I know what's best for the student and X amount of percentage. I need accurate data. I need you to tell me what student did you survey. I need you to stop assuming what you think you know what's best for the student and actually start listening to them because they know what they need. They know what their needs are. They know what their wants are. And I don't want to say everyone, but I'm just going to call people out. We're not listening.
Yes.
We're not listening. It's falling on
Yes.
on deaf ears. Like we're not listening. We're giving them band-aid solutions, and it's time to make radical changes, especially in the community college system. Community colleges should be free, and that's just how I feel about it.
Period.
But that's a whole other thing. But
You hear that, New York State? You heard it here
like,
first. Make it free. Stop
they
playing.
should be free. And you like that would be immensely helpful for a lot of the students who might not have joined or gone to college because of the whole financial piece that plays a huge role in their decision. So I hope I hit the mark on that one. I was like, well, yeah.
Hit it.
Knocked it out the park. Love it.
Obliterated. Yeah, we are super happy that you were able to join us. I'm going to do a recap, and I wrote a lot. There's a lot that was being stated up here, so this is sort of like your summary. Put this on your resume because you definitely provided us with a lot of information. One of the things that you talked about is that you wanted to get to a group of students and dispel the myths about community colleges, right? And get them to understand that their misconceptions are preventing them to take on an opportunity. One of the really interesting questions that you mentioned is getting to them, and I love this because I do this also, right? Whether my students are applying to like prestigious schools or like 2-year schools or whatever. I'm like, what brought you to this point? And I don't want you operating in desperation or just because. Like I don't like the just because, right? Like have intentions about what you're doing. You also mentioned that at accredited community colleges, let's put some respect on that. Accredited community colleges are undervalued. A part of that is because other programs like mask themselves in this way. So you have a lot of students that may go to a community college,
college.
right? For
Yep.
sure.
Or anything that has like one of those commercials to say, get up out your seat, get up right now, go do it right
Yep.
now.
Terrible. Yeah, like if the school is doing a lot to sell you like a car, That's
Oh
not it.
yeah.
Not it.
So look for schools with articulation agreements. I absolutely love that. Schools that have an intention or plan for what your future may look like beyond the time that you're spending with them. I love that. Also consider community colleges as a way to save money. One of the things that you mentioned, and I'm glad you said it, because when students hear it from me, they kind of say like I'm being phony, like I'm trying to finesse them. But some of the people teaching at the 4-year schools are teaching at the 2-year schools as well with the same content at a cheaper price, right? Like that. That is
Yep.
literally the plug. That's what it is, right? Your experiences are what you make it. So think about cultivating your experience intentionally. I love that you stated that. You probably didn't realize you said all these things, but you did.
I was
Um,
gonna say, I was like, wow.
yeah, yeah,
Like
you
me?
did.
I said that?
Yeah,
You did.
yeah. And you got a couple more bullets. One of the amazing points that you stated here is Amber, we got to get this on the shirt. I often tell my students that you learn more outside of the classroom than you do within it. If you do college intentionally, right?
If you do it
Um,
right.
if you do it right, right? So you said, welcome to the first step of your professional development through ASAP, right? ASAP helps you to develop your career portfolio. I think that is such a highlight that it
And I
needs to be
wish more
beyond.
people actually like implemented that, because when you think about college, college is your next step to your career.
For
And
sure.
I wish more people adopted that idea, because then you will have more people who are not lost
Yeah.
out in the world.
For sure. All right, a few more. Equal opportunities provide holistic support, but also need to change with the times. A part of the safety plan for students extends beyond the academics, right? So we need to address food concerns, mental health concerns, housing concerns, and COVID shows us technological concerns, right?
Yeah.
That Wi-Fi is that there's access needed to be able to adapt to the times, to educate yourself, to get access to resources, etc. Community-based organizations can be a great partner to addressing issues of equity for students. And I love the fact that you're just like, you don't have to take credit for supporting a student with this particular issue. You can get them access to the people that can. And I love that. There's a lot of times people have ego and they have to do everything. The band-aid of meditate and breathe will not address the trauma and mental health issues of our students. Super, super important. That needs to resonate with people. And
Get
I
you a
know it was
therapist.
stated that
You're
was loud and
welcome.
clear. Sure. Then we got three more. Help students navigate their college experience intentionally. Let's not assume what they know. Make it unique to the student population. Make decisions and interventions based on accurate data. Don't assume. Listen. And community colleges should be free. That's your mic
Period.
drop. That's your mic
Yeah.
drop. Oh, and Mr. Darryl K. Roberts mentioned that at the next class that he's having, he needs an ASAP booth at the Classic for exposure. So you, of course, will be one of the first people that we tap to be a part of that process.
For sure. For sure.
Uh,
Feel like a lot of students don't really know, or again, we're known as a MetroCard program, which is hilarious to me when students, when students for the very
Listen,
first time.
if that's what they think, right? Then you slap them in the face with all the other good stuff, right? Because
Yeah.
like you coming in for a Metro card and you're gonna get so much more than the Metro card. But I also think the one of the other key issues is that a lot of people don't really understand. Like you have practitioners in the space that like think they know ASAP but don't really know ASAP, and like that's the
Mm-hmm.
only thing that they can say is like, hey, but you're gonna get a free Metro card to go to
yeah, which is
school,
not
and it's
enough.
like, bro, there's so many more benefits that we can talk about besides this Metro card. Like that's the icing on the cake. But let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about all these other things that they come with that can really support our students to like actually achieve and go beyond. But this was awesome, Madelyn. Like I already told you, girl, I'm gonna be in contact because I have lots of students who are at LaGuardia right now, and would love to see like if any of them are already a part of the program or who can we connect. Because I know there's a
Yes.
lot of them that probably just don't know. So like let's get the connecting.
Yes.
Like
And we're
I love
actively
this show.
recruiting.
I love
Well, I work at LaGuardia, but if we're actively recruiting right now for next semester. So just so that you guys know.
I appreciate that because we will be. I'm connected with different programs that are also trying to promote ASAP, so I will be connecting as well. And for those of you that don't know, with Madelyn, you can get definitely a lot of conversation about this mental health piece, also about nutrition, and she's a grill master. She's been on the grill. I want to put that out there, but listen, I went to an event at my cousin's house. She spent 3 hours slaving on the grill. you know, like an auntie, right? And then she came back, all the food was dope. So she one-stop shop. Madelyn, you are a G. I respect you. Thank you once again for supporting and adding to the collective support that we're trying to provide to young people and also professionals. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me in your space. This was really dope, and I love the fact that you guys created this, and I hope that I'm looking forward to hearing all the other conversations we're gonna have.
Appreciate that. Thank
Thanks,
you once again,
Madeline.
Madelyn.
And thank
Amber,
you to
last
all
word.
the folks that tuned in. We truly appreciate you for continuing to support this very great work. We have a lot to do, but we know we can do it with you. And we couldn't do it without you. So thank you guys for tuning in, for chiming in, for lending us your ear for the last hour and 12 minutes. We truly appreciate you. And we can't wait to see you next week. So next week is going to be our wrap up for the semester. Both of us, especially Daitwan, y'all. I don't know if y'all know Daitwan, like that's a West Indian man, dear. Okay, the man have 12 jobs. All right,
something like that.
so this man needs a break, and so do I.
Sure.
So we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna come back in January. So next week will be our last show before we take our collective breaks. So we can refuel and replenish and be ready to serve you guys again in the new year. So make sure that you tune in next week. We're gonna have lots of fun. Yeah, we're gonna have lots of fun next week. So come back here, same great time, same great place, 7 p.m. on the nose. We'll be here waiting for you. And then we'll have some fun, and then we'll see you guys in the new year. So thanks again for tuning in. I'm Mizz P, the on track of this thing, and this is.
I'm going with Dr.Change. Nothing strange. I'm adding. I'm going to be adding to it. I'm going to keep adding to it. All My People LLC. We appreciate y'all. See y'all next week.